Emma and Daniel had been married for 5 years. They lived in a cozy apartment near the river in a busy city. Their marriage had been filled with happy moments, shared dreams, and some arguments. But lately, something felt different. They were growing apart, not because they didn't love each other, but because they didn't understand each other. Emma was a graphic designer who worked on freelance projects. She dreamed of starting her own business. Daniel was an architect working on a big projects that took most of his time and energy. Their schedules rarely matched, leaving them with little time together. When they did see each other, their conversations were short, and the silence between them felt heavy. One evening, Emma was working on her laptop in the living room. She was focused on finishing a proposal for an important client. Daniel came home late from work, his face tired. "Emma, can we talk?" he asked. "Not now, Daniel," she said, not looking up. "I have a deadline." Daniel sighed and walked to the bedroom. Emma noticed but didn't say anything. She thought he was upset, but she was too busy to ask why. As days turned into weeks, Daniel started staying at work even later. Emma noticed his absence but told herself he didn't care about their relationship anymore. She buried herself in her work, feeling lonely and frustrated. One rainy evening, Emma found something that shook her. She was tidying up when she saw a receipt in Daniel's coat pocket. It was for an expensive dinner at a restaurant. The date on the receipt was from a night he had told her he was working late. Her heart sank. Who had he been with? Why didn't he tell her? When Daniel came home, wet from the rain, Emma confronted him. Her voice trembled with anger and hurt. "Who were you with last Thursday?" she asked, holding up the receipt. Daniel looked confused. "What are you talking about?" "This receipt," she said. "You weren't at work that night, were you?" Daniel stared at her, his face a mix of shock and hurt. "Emma, that was dinner with a client. I didn't tell you because I didn't think it was important." "Not important." Emma's voice rose. "You've been distant for weeks and now you're hiding things from me? How can you say it's not important?" Daniel's frustration boiled over. "I'm not hiding anything. Do you know how hard I've been working? I'm doing all this for us, and you don't even notice. You're working for us, but you're never here for me." Emma shot back, tears streaming down her face. The argument ended with Daniel grabbing his coat and storming out into the rain. Emma sank onto the couch, her chest aching with regret and sadness. That night, Daniel walked through the city streets, soaked and lost in thought. He realized how much he had pulled away from Emma, thinking he was protecting her from his stress. Instead, he had made her feel alone. He hated that they were fighting when all he wanted was to make her happy. Back at home, Emma sat by the window, watching the rain hit the glass. Her anger began to fade, replaced by a deep sadness. She thought about how much they used to share with each other. When had they stopped being a team? She didn't want to lose the love they had built. When Daniel finally returned home, cold and dripping wet, he saw Emma waiting in the living room. Her face was tired, her eyes red from crying. "I don't want to lose us," she whispered. Daniel walked over and sat beside her. He took her hand in his. "I'm sorry, Emma. I didn't mean to shut you out." I thought I was protecting you by not sharing my stress. Emma nodded, her voice soft. And I'm sorry for not seeing how hard things have been for you. I've been so caught up in my own world that I didn't notice yours. They sat together, talking for hours. They shared their fears, frustrations, and hopes. They promised to try harder, to listen, and to be there for each other, no matter how busy life got. The days that followed were different. They started having dinners without their phones, taking walks along the river, and checking in with each other about their days. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Love isn't always easy. Sometimes it's about finding each other again when you drift apart. That night, in the quiet after the storm, Emma and Daniel began rebuilding the bridge they had almost lost.